Hello readers, I'm David Reader and today we're reviewing The Sky People, written by S.M. Stirling in 2006. Now normally in one of these alternative history reviews I would go into the story in detail. However, the problem with this book is that it's very confusing, so I'm not going to bother doing this with this review. Instead I'm going to talk about the world building and why I don't like this book. Of all the alternative history books I've read, and I've read several dozens, this is the worst I've read so far. So what's the alternative history of The Sky People? Well, Venus is habitable, and you have dinosaurs and neandertals and humans there somehow. And it seems actually that the humans were implanted there by some weird AI stuff. Yeah, it's not really clear how Venus became habited. You had a space race in the 60s between the Soviets and the Americans, and in this book there's no Sino-Soviet split. And when they discovered that Venus was habitable, they decided, okay, war is over, we're gonna focus on space stuff. And in this timeline, the last war was the Six-Day War in 1967, oddly. And the vast majority of this book takes place in 1988. And in this book we get to see battles between sapiens and Neanderthals. And how would I rate this book, The Sky People? It would be a 5 out of 10 for me. So there are some interesting aspects in this book. Some of the dinosaur scenes are fun. There are some fun war scenes. The world building sometimes is quite interesting. But overall this book is a confusing mess, as apparently some weird third power took the humans from Earth and put them on Venus. Somehow characters from Earth learn the language of those from Venus by just touching each other, which doesn't make any sense. This is supposed to be science fiction and alternative history, but there are elements of this book that are too fantastic for it to be so. And this book is only 300 pages, but a lot of this book is very boring to read. The main character gets a great wolf in this book, which is like a bigger version of a wolf, so that's a fun secondary character, you could say. And they ride ceratops in this book, which is kind of interesting. And we get to see them interacting with fellow human cultures in this book on Venus. There's even a city on Venus, but only one. Most of the humans on Venus are hunter-gatherers. But this book is just confusing. There's a Soviet in this book who gets captured by Neanderthals and then somehow becomes their leader, but it's not well explained. And there's some weird thing about the Cloud Mountain, where there's some holy space kind of. And there's a tribe in this book called the Cloud Mountain people, but the Cloud Mountains have rejected them. It doesn't really make any sense. And when I learned there were dinosaurs in this book, I was like, great, so this could be like Jurassic Park. It's not at all like that. Jurassic Park and The Lost World are so much better books than The Sky People. Some of the dinosaur scenes work, some of them don't. Stirling introduces some concepts in this book, which could have worked, but he never explains them well. He leaves a lot open to interpretation. So I'm kind of confused by the ending of this book. The only thing I understood with the ending of this book is, oh, this tribe, their place was destroyed, so now they're coming to our civilization on Venus. So I would absolutely not recommend you to read The Sky People by S.M. Stirling. It's a 5 out of 10 for me. It's one of those dry books for me, like The Great Gatsby or Lord of the Flies. They have some interesting elements, but for the most part they're just so boring to read. And there's some cool sci-fi stuff and alternative history stuff in this book, but that does not make up for all the boring and confusing things in this book. So I know S.M. Stirling is an alternative history author, but this is a mediocre alternative history book, so don't read The Sky People. Now if you want to learn about another author who wrote a good alternative history book, then I would recommend you to check out my book review of Dominion by C.J. Sansom, which is an alternative history where Britain makes peace with Nazi Germany in 1940. And Britain starts becoming an authoritarian state. That's a good book, check that out. Don't read this. Anyways, I'm the avid reader and I will see you readers next time.